So you don't see the dot. Right. All you see is I am asleep. Cars. Yeah.
That's right, Jake. Take from the rich, give to the poor.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اما بعد. With regards to the events of the hereafter, the lectures that you previously heard from the other speakers, imams, and with regards to what I want to speak about, al-Hawd al-Mawrud or al-Hawd or Hawd al-Kawthar, this is from the most important things that we need to be speaking about and talking about on a daily basis. I don't want to waste time, even though it's not a waste of time, but our time is limited. So I'm going to cut right into the title what I'm going to speak about. Even though the whole topic needs more reflection and needs a greater amount of light shed upon it. When we talk about Al-Hawd or the Prophet's pond, the pond of Jannah, the pond of Kawthar, the pond of Qiyamah, then it can take us in several different directions. From one aspect, this is an issue of Aqidah. This is from the Orthodox creed of Al-Islam. This is from the creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Something that the Prophet ﷺ has informed us of. Something that Allah has told us about in the Quran. So therefore, whenever Allah tells us about something, when the Prophet ﷺ tells us about a thing, it is our duty to believe in it and to accept it. And that is what Al-Aqidah is, or Al-Iman, or At-Tawheed. The information that's mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah of the unseen, that which took place, that which takes place but you can't see it, and that which will take place. That is what Aqidah is. Allah told us that He said to the angels. Allah told us that the heavens and the earth were like this and like that. Allah told us that there are angels. The Prophet tells us there are angels, there are jinn when you go to sleep, when you wake up. And Allah tells us this will happen on this day. On the day in which your Lord will call out. On the day, on the day, on the day. And the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us what happens when we die. When the soul is taken from the body. When the person is resurrected. So we have 3 points of time. Past, present, and future. The information of the Quran and the Sunnah of the past, of the present, and of the future, that is Aqidah. We are supposed to believe in it, and accept it, and submit to it. And we are to believe in it, and accept it, and submit to it in a specific manner. And that's the manner that Allah and His Messenger wanted from us. Obviously, there are other things involved, such as the language. The language. And then we have the concept of literal versus figurative, physical versus metaphysical, etc. So this is the starting point of our Aqidah. Certain groups, whether they're outside of Islam or within Islam, they chose to pick and to leave what they believe in and what they will and will not accept. Certain groups, inside of Islam, outside of Islam, they chose to understand this information in a way in which they wanted to understand it. A way in which they chose to understand it, even though it was against the correct linguistic meaning, or was against the way that the companions understood, etc. So when we talk about Al-Aqidah or Al-Tawheed and Al-Iman, anything that's mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, which is not a command or a prohibition, but we're being informed about it. We've been told about it. Of the past, of the present, and of the future, that is what? Al-Aqidah. Everyone understand this? That is Al-Aqidah. An example of this would be what? Quickly. Quick example of this. Something that Allah wants us to believe in, that He told us about. the prophets, such as who? Nuh. There was a man who lived and died, and his name was what? Nuh alayhi salam. And he lived for a certain amount of years among his people. The angels, exactly, of past, present, and what? Future. The past angels such as what? Or not even past angels, but information about the angels of the past, such as what? When he told them to what? Prostrate. That was past tense. Present tense is what? What about the angels with regards to the current present tense? Huh? Writing of deeds. Allah says, Hafidhin. Angels that write down what you do. Kiram and Katibin. They know what you do. In the future. Taking the souls. Or when it rains. Or other things. In the future. Why is that? He would say, you're going to stay in the fire. You're not ever coming out. That's in the what? In the future. It's in the future. Alright? So from the past, present, and tense, from the things that we have been told about, with regards to Al-Aqidah is Al-Hawd, the Prophet's Pond. The Prophet's Pond. That there is a place, there is a thing called Al-Hawd, called Al-Kawthar. Inna a'tainaka Al-Kawthar. Fasalli li rabbika wanhar. We've been told about this. So what is the stance of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah? What is the understanding of the Salaf al-Salih? Is nothing more than the what? The Quran and Sunnah. In its pure and organic form. Period. That's it. When the other groups, Jews, Christians, atheists, fire worshippers, let alone people within inside the Muslims, chose to take a different route. We'll accept it, but it's not literal. We'll accept it, but it's only metaphysical. Or we won't accept it at all, because it's only mentioned in this type of hadith ahad. It's not mutawatir, etc. Are we understanding this? So from one aspect, al-hawd is an issue of what? Aqidah. The summary of Aqidah is found in 6 points, which are the what? Arkan al-Iman. The articles of faith. Included in belief in the last day is what? Yawm al-Qiyamah. What's included in that? The Hawd, resurrection, Mizan, judgment, hellfire. Kullu. That's all included in what? Yawm al-Akhirah. Adab al-Qabr, Na'im al-Qabr, Fitnat al-Qabr, people being tested in the grave. All of that is included in what? Belief in the last day. Alright? So al-Hawd, when we talk about al-Hawd, that's an issue of Aqidah. Alright, now let's switch the script now. It's also an issue of what? Another field of study, or another angle of approaching the topic is what? Iman is Aqidah. All names for one point. Doesn't matter what you call it. Iman, Tawheed, Aqidah. It's all what? All one thing. Belief in what Allah and His Messenger have told us about. We can talk about the whole from the aspect of what? People say Tazkiyah, or Zuhd, or Raqa'iq. Things which melt your heart. Things which soften your heart. Things that pertain to the internal spirituality of Islam. Al-Hawd. Not studying it as an Aqidah issue. This is what Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah say about the Hawd. And this is what the Mu'tazila say about the Hawd. This group and that group. No. We're all in the same room. We all believe the same thing. But now we want to talk about the Prophet's pond to get us to stay away from sins. And to get us not to be stressed out and worried about the problems that we have in this dunya. Because there's something called the Prophet's pond and Hereafter. Are we understanding this? So it's an issue of softening the what? Softening the heart. Whatever term or name that you give it. Zuhd, Tazkiyah, Sufism, whatever name or term that you what? That you use. Just like whatever name or term is used for the what? Aqidah. For the what? Aqidah. Aqidah is Iman. Iman is different terms for one concept. Are we understanding this? So therefore, we don't want to talk about it, one may say, I don't want to talk about it from the aspect of a technical aspect. But we're going to talk about something that we all believe in, but let's discuss it to soften our what? Hearts. To purify ourselves. Are we understanding this? Everybody clear on this or not? No. So with that being said, in Sahih al-Bukhari, Imam al-Bukhari, he collects many narrations about the prophetic pond, the Hawd. And he doesn't put it in Kitab al-Tawheed or Kitab al-Iman, but he puts it in one of the last chapters of his book. and that is Kitab al-Raqaiq, the chapter of melting the heart. The chapter of melting the heart. And that is because this pond that the Prophet ﷺ has been promised, he's been promised this pond, it's a pond which is so beautiful, it's so splendid, that you automatically want to go to it, and you want to drink from it, and you want to see the Prophet and see the believers, you want to be there. And at the same time, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he has informed us is that there are people who will see it, but then they will be pushed away. They will not be allowed to drink. There will be people that the Prophet will see, and he will think that they're his followers and his ummah. And as they come closer, it will be said to them, what? Get away. You are not allowed to drink therefrom. There lies no doubt that is supposed to do what? Soften your what? Your hard heart. What if I'm from those people? Am I promised to drink from that pond? A pond in which the Prophet ﷺ says anyone who drinks from it will never be thirsty ever again. There's no drink in the dunya. The oldest, most vintage wine, the most expensive spring water, $20, $100 for a bottle of it, in which you can drink it, and the one who offers it guarantees that you'll never ever what? Be thirsty again. This is delicious. It tastes good. It's going to quench your thirst. It's going to make you feel happy. Whatever the drink is. But no one can say that you'll never ever experience thirst again. You understand this? So every believer wants to go to that place. Let alone what's mentioned about the Prophet ﷺ. Everyone wants that. But yet and still there are those who will not be allowed the pleasure and the honor of drinking from that pond. And that is why Imam al-Bukhari placed these hadiths in this chapter. And we've said this many times before, but at home in many places, the importance of reading Sahih Bukhari. We said this last night, right, Sheikh Anwar? The importance of reading Sahih Bukhari over and over and over again. The importance of having to summarize Sahih Bukhari over and over again. And the importance of understanding Islam and practicing Islam and the Aqidah of Islam directly from Sahih al-Bukhari. You understand this? And we talk about sins and acts of disobedience and family problems and the state of our communities, because oftentimes we're not reflecting on this. And many of us, unfortunately, we've been taught mistakenly, we've been miseducated that this is a topic only for Sufis. Softening the heart is what Sufis do. Tazkiyah is for Sufis. That's not the way of Salafis. We don't talk about these things. Zuhd and dhikr, that's only for Sufi people. Many people have been taught this, and that's wrong. Everyone understand this? So we have two different ways of looking at this topic, from the technical topic and from the spiritual, or technical angle or the spiritual angle. And that's another thing that we said, the two-pronged dawah, technicality and spirituality and technicality. They're going hand in hand. Technical information along with spiritual essence. The spiritual essence that's based off of the technical information. Everyone understand this? And different groups, they go astray because of this. Some people, they only focus on the technical things, and they neglect and ignore the spiritual aspect. And then there are those who only focus on the spiritual aspect, but it's not based off of hardcore, which we call the technicalities. Khairan, inshallah. Number 3, Mahdi, the third angle is the angle of tafsir. When we talk about the Prophet's pond, we can discuss it as if we're studying tafsir. And that's because there's a direct connection between Al-Kawthar and between Al-Hawd. And some people may even say that they're the same. Some people may say that they're the same. But if they're not the same, we know for sure that they're definitely what? Connected. They're what? They're connected. So when Allah says, Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar, indeed we have given you Al-Kawthar, one translation. And another translation is, Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar, we will give you the Kawthar. Allah speaks about the past tense, meaning the future. Ata amrullah, fala tasta'jilu. Allah says in Surah 16, the affair of Allah has what? Come. So don't be hasty. Meaning the affair of Allah will what? Will come. Everyone understand this? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. The believers have won. And the believers what? Will win. Everyone understand this? So therefore, Allah says, we have given you the Kawthar. Or we will give you the Kawthar. That surah and its interpretation and understanding is directly connected to the Prophet's pond. So talking about the hold of the events of the hereafter is also an issue of tafsir. Everyone understand this? And there are other aspects and avenues as well. So those are three. Aqidah, soften the heart. And thirdly, the tafsir. Khayr, inshallah. In the 53rd subchapter, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, باب في الحوض وقول الله تعالى إنا أعطيناك الكوثر. وقال عبد الله بن زيد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اصبروا حتى تلقوني على الحوض. And before we get into reading from Sahih Bukhari, there are many different aspects, or there are many different things we can mention about the hawd, such as where is the hawd? Where is it at? Is it on earth? Is it in paradise? Or is it on another earth? Everyone understand this? How big is it? How large is it? What will be served? What will people drink from it? Who will be invited? And who will be banished? What are some of the things that you should try to avoid while you're living, not to be from those miskin people who come, they see it, and it will be said to them, stay back. You're not allowed to enjoy the drink. Everyone understand this? These are aspects of the what? Of the hawd. Another aspect is, does the Prophet ﷺ have more than one? Are there two of them or is it just one? Another aspect is it specific to the Prophet, or the Prophet Muhammad, do other prophets have them as well? Everyone understand this? These are all issues of the what? Of the hawd. Last but not least is, what do you do to be from those who will experience the hawd? Just like we mentioned the reasons of being banished, there are also reasons for you to be what? Accepted and invited. These that you should be doing and practicing in order to experience this phenomenon of the hereafter. I would understand this? Everybody with me or not? طيب. So Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, حدثني يحيى بن محمد قال حدثنا أبو عوانة عن سليمان عن شقيق عن عبد الله عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنا فطركم على الحوض. وحدثني عمرو بن علي قال حدثنا محمد بن جعفر قال حدثنا شعبة عن المغيرة قال سمعت أبا وائل عن عبد الله رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أنا فطركم على الحوض ولا يرفعن رجال منكم ثم لا يختلجن دوني فقولوا يا ربي أصحابي فيقال إنك لا تدري ما أحدث بعدك. تابعه عاصم عن أبي وائل وقال حسين عن أبي وائل عن حذيفة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. حدثنا مسدد قال حدثني يحيى عن عبيد الله قال حدثني نافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال أمامكم حوض كما بين جرباء وأذرح. حدثني عمرو بن محمد قال حدثنا هشيم قال أخبرنا أبو بشر وعطاء بن السائب عن سعيد بن جبير عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال الكوثر الخير الكثير الذي أعطاه الله إياه. قال أبو بشر قلت لسعيد إن أناسا يزعمون أنه نهر في الجنة. فقال سعيد النهر الذي في الجنة من الخير الذي أعطاه الله إياه. حدثنا سعيد بن أبي مريم قال حدثنا نافع ابن عمر عن ابن أبي مليكة قال قال عبد الله بن عمرو قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حوضي مسيرة شهر ماؤه أبيض من اللبن وريحه أطيب من المسك وكيزانه كنجوم السماء من شرب منها فلا يظمأ أبدا. حدثنا سعيد بن عفير قال حدثني ابن وهب عن يونس عن قال ابن شهاب حدثني أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن قدر حوضي كما بين أليا وصنعاء من اليمن وإن فيه من الأباريق كعدد نجوم السماء. حدثنا أبو الوليد قال حدثنا عمان عن قتادة عن أنس عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حا. وحدثنا هدبة بن خالد قال حدثنا حمام قال حدثنا قتادة قال حدثنا أنس بن مالك عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال بينما أنا أسير في الجنة إذ أنا بنهر حافته قباب الدر المجوف قلت ما هذا يا جبريل؟ قال هذا الكوثر الذي أعطاك ربك فإذا طيبه أو طينه مسك أغفر شك هدبته. قال حدثنا مسلم بن إبراهيم إلى آخر كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, he says the chapter of the hawd, and the word hawd, ha, wow, and a dad, it means a great pool, a reservoir, a cistern, a large body of water that's kept in one place. And oftentimes people translate it to mean a pond. A what? A pond. So he says that Allah Azza wa Jalla says, "Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar." Indeed, we have given you the Kawthar, O Muhammad. Abdullah bin Zayd narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Isbiru hatta talqawni ala al-hawd." He says, be patient until you meet me at my pond. Be patient until you meet me where? At my pond. Then Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, he narrates with this chain of narration that goes back to Abdullah bin Mas'ud, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ana fatarukum ala al-hawd." He says, I will be the one who will precede you to the pond, and I will wait for you, as if someone is going to wait for you to serve you. Everyone understand this? The Arabs and other nomads and other travelers, they would send scouts ahead of the caravan, scouts to look for water. And when the scouts had encountered the water, they would come back and they would say, such and such li, or miles, or paces is water. And then they would send other people to the pond or to the well to prepare the drinking vessels, to make space to get the things ready for the animals to drink. Everyone understand this? So the Prophet ﷺ says in this narration, I will be the one who will precede you to the pond. I'll be waiting for you there. I will be waiting for you at the what? At the pond. The next narration is reported by Abdullah bin Mas'ud as well, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, I will be the one who will wait for you at the pond. And there will be many men who will be banished and pushed back from my pond. I will say, oh my Lord, these are my companions. These are my ashab. And it will be said to me, you don't know what they made up before, or you don't know what they did after you. You don't know what they did once you left them. You don't know what they reverted to after you what? After you left them. The next narration is reported by Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, he says, Amamakum hawdun. He says, in front of you, that which awaits you is a great pond. A great pond. Moving forward, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah mentions a few other narrations. We'll summarize some of them. The next one is narrated by Abdullah bin Amr, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Hawdi masiratu shahrin. He says, my pond has the length of a month's journey. A month's journey. One could travel for an entire month and he wouldn't pass by the entire what? Pond. The narration then says, Ma'uhu abyadu min al-laban. The water of the pond is not clear or transparent, rather it's white. It's even whiter than milk. وَرِيحُهُ أَطْيَبُ مِنَ الْمِسْكِ. And its fragrance is fancier than musk. وَكِيزَانُهُ كَنُجُومِ السَّمَاءِ. And the cups, or the gauntlet, or the goblets, he says, are what? Like what? Stars in the sky. مَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهَا فَلَا يَظْمَأُ أَبَدًا. Whoever drinks therefrom will never ever be thirsty. He will never be thirsty. Next narration, Imam al-Bukhari quotes. He says, إِنَّ قَطْرَ حَوْضِي كَمَا بَيْنَ أَيْلَى وَالصَّنْعَى مِنَ الْيَمَنِ. He says the width and the size of my hawd is like the town of Ayla and the town of Sana'a in Yemen. It's huge, very, very large. And then the next narration mentions the Prophet ﷺ is reported by Anas radiallahu anhu. He says, بَيْنَمَا أَنَا أَسِيرُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. One day I was walking in paradise, the Prophet says. One day I was walking in paradise. The Prophet was in paradise walking. فَإِذَا أَنَا بِنَهْرٍ حَافَتَاهُ قِبَابُ الدُّرِّ الْمُجَوَّفِ. And he says that I came across a river. And this river wasn't like a normal river. The sides of the river was of the finest of pearls. قُلْتُ مَا هَذَا يَا جِبْرِيلُ. Oh Jibreel, what is this? What is this river? He says, this is the Kawthar that your Lord has given you. This is the Kawthar that your Lord has promised you. And this theme is clay. He says, Miskun adfar is of the finest musk as well. Is of the finest musk as well. Next narration is from Anas radiallahu anhu. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, لَيَلِدَنَّ عَلَيَّ نَاسٌ مِنْ أُصَيْحَابِي الحوض فإذا عرفتهم اختلجوا دوني أو اختلجوا دوني على خلاف فأقول أصحابي فيقول لا تدري ما أحدث بعدك. Anas narrates, he says that men, they will come to drink from my pond. They will come to drink from my pond. He says, and all of a sudden, when I recognize them and I know who they are, they will be snatched away and they will be removed therefrom. And I will say, these are my companions. And someone will say to me, you don't know what they did after you left them. You don't know what they did what? After you left them. Khairan inshallah. And there are many other narrations that Imam al-Bukhari quotes in this chapter with regards to the Prophet ﷺ's hold. So what do we benefit so far from this brief skimming through this chapter in the translation? What have we learned so far about the hold?
Size.
Before the size, something more comprehensive.
Well, see, the point is actual.
That is physical. And it isn't a metaphysical thing. It's an actual what? Place. How do we know it's a place? And it doesn't just mean this is Allah's mercy, Allah's kindness, Allah's blessing to the believers. It's not an actual place. What are the context clues? What are the things that show us that it's a physical, tangible place? As the Prophet gave a what? A vivid description. Size, length, width, color, smell, taste, after effects. And most importantly, that some people are going to be what? Removed. After they and come. So this is a very important point of the Aqidah of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and that is based off of the Arabic language. And there lies no doubt the Arabic language is a vast language, just like other languages are vast. And there are many ins and outs of the Arabic language. And there lies no doubt sometimes in the Arabic language words are used or mentioned, and it could mean something else. Regardless whether you call it majaz, haqiqah, figurative, al-muhim. The word is meant and something else is used, or vice versa. If a person says, رَأَيْتُ أَسَدًا يَخْطُبُ or رَأَيْتُ أَسَدًا يَسُودُ, I was on a battlefield and I saw a lion fighting. I saw a lion fighting. What does that mean? With the mic and ice. What does that mean? I saw a lion fighting. What does that mean?
A man was doing as much damage as a lion.
A brave man. A brave warrior. And another person, he may say, it actually means there's an actual what? An animal, right? So a person says, I saw a lion giving the khutbah. Was it an animal, a lion, or was it a very strong and confident, powerful khatib? Everyone understand this? Right turn this or not? Or a person may say, li alayka yad, or inna li alayka la yad. Literal translation would be, I have a hand with you. You owe me a hand. Or as we say, in the urban, he say what? He had long arms in the street. Or the black hand. We'll say the black hand that's never seen but always what? Always felt. What's meant by this? Is it literal? Is it figurative, physical, or metaphysical? Is he talking about an actual hand? Or is he talking about one's influence, one's control, one's power? You owe me a favor, Shaq. Right? At the camp. You owe me a what? A favor. In the Arabic language, I say, I have a what to you, with you? A what? A yed, a head, meaning a what? A ni'mah. You owe me something. Everyone understand this? So there's no doubt in the Arabic language, certain words are mentioned, and sometimes they have more than one meaning. This is a very important principle, guys, for us to all understand. All of us. Even the namely Muslim must understand this. There are times in which a word is used in a certain way, in which a certain manner, and it is no longer figurative. And it can no longer be what? Figurative. And it's literally as it's said. So if a person says, and thereafter there is a hold, a pond, one could possibly say that it's not an actual physical location, but it's just what? Jannah, paradise. But now we say it's this big, it's this long, this what it looks like, this what it smells like, this how long it takes you to get there. And then language now, not a slang, the language that excludes it just being what? Figurative. So my hand is long, I have fingers, it's strong, I grab, I release, I do this, I do that. I'm no longer talking about a what now? A favor. But I'm talking about the actual what? Hand. Everyone understand this? A lion with a thick mane and ferocious fangs and powerful jaws. No, it was an actual lion on the what? On the battlefield. And I'm not talking about a brave man anymore. So one of the points between the Orthodox creed of Islam and the other people that were Muslims or called themselves Muslims is that they failed to observe this rule in the Arabic language. Is that there has to be a reason for majaz. And there are things which prevent it from being majaz. If you say that there is a majaz, something which is metaphysical or figurative in the Quran or in the Arabic language. But there's certain things in which when I say in a style, I mean it what? Literally. You call me, says, yo, we outside waiting. I'll be there in a couple seconds. Do I mean a couple seconds or I mean a couple of minutes? Couple of minutes. But we gotta go. Getaway car. We need you to be what? In a couple of seconds in the car. Huh, Hussein? Tell you, everyone understand this? There's a difference. How it's used and when it's what? When it's used. Everyone understand this? Everyone understand this or not? So therefore, the Prophet ﷺ, in these hadiths, he's given us a vivid description of the whole. And it is impossible for us to say that it's only what? Something which is what? Mystical. Like the angels. Are angels real? Or they're just beings, creatures of light? They're real. How do we know that they're real? They have physical, tangible presence. How do we know this? Because Musa ﷺ, he hit the angel. And he did what to it? Can't be something which is just figurative anymore. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody can understand? It can't be something which is just what? Figurative. Jibril did this. Jibril squeezed the Prophet, said something like this, so on and so forth. I couldn't breathe anymore. It's no longer something what? No, it's literal. It's what? It's literal. Shaitan, the jinn, that's just evil, negativity, jealousy, envy. It's not a real shaitan. It's not a real, they're not a real jinn. One could possibly say this. And there are people who say that they're Muslims and they speak like this. They speak like this. Educated doctors. They'll give an interview about Islam and they'll say, this is what Muslims believe about the jinn. Shaitan is negativity. There's no actual Satan. That's superstition. How do we know that this is incorrect? The Prophet ﷺ, he did what? He said, I grabbed him until I could feel the coldness of his tongue. And if it wasn't for what my brother Solomon said to Allah, I would have tied him up to the column in the masjid and let the children of Medina see him. Everyone understand this? And in many other hadiths in which there's something physical being what? Mentioned. There's something what? Physical. Everyone understand this? This is an extremely important point when it comes to why the Muslims split and differ and why they fought over understanding the Quran. Everyone understand this? And why we believe that this is literal. And they believe that it's only what? Figurative. So the first thing we understand about the Prophet's hold, his pond, is that it's something which is what? It's literal. Number two is what? The next thing we benefited from these hadiths is what? We passed that already. Such as? Size. Is that it's not small. It's what? It's large. The color of the drink. That goes to show you, like Abdullah ibn Abbas said, alaykum salam, says, لَيْسَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ مِمَّا فِي الدُّنْيَا أو لَيْسَ فِي الدُّنْيَا مِمَّا فِي الْجَنَّةِ قَدِّمَ وَأَخِرْ إِلَّا الْأَسْمَاءِ. The only things in paradise which you can relate to are names and titles. So you have a pond. You see a spring water that you're drinking. This was the question we were asked the other day, right? Right now, this is the official water of Hadith Disciple. We asked the question on Thursday night. They asked the question, am I making this up? Yes, yeah, we changed, we switched. Fiji has been refuted. So this water right here, right? I'm sure this water is very refreshing. Right, Mahdi? Mahdi's the one who put me down with it, alhamdulillah. Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah bless you. So no doubt it's refreshing, right? We agree on this? What is the color of the water? It has no color. Spring water is not supposed to have a what? A color. The most pristine water isn't supposed to have a what? It's not supposed to have a color. So the Prophet says that the water of the pond is like what? Whiter than milk. Whiter than snow. Milk is nothing more than an example. When someone says what? Okay. Something is pure. It's white. You understand? It's pure. Everyone understand this? No need to say anything else. طيب. With that being said, Ibn Abbas, he said what? He said the only things that are in paradise from that which you have in the dunya are what? Names and titles. So the water in paradise is nothing like the water of what? Of the dunya. The wine of the dunya, as we said, the most vintage wine, the best, most expensive wine, is nothing to the wine of what? Except for the sheer concept of khamr. Ladatan lisharibin. That's it. But the reality of it, the specifics of the wine is nothing like the wine of what? Vice versa. Everyone understand this? So if this is the case with worldly things and created things, then what do you think the difference is between Allah and His created beings? And the attributes and characteristics of Allah and the attributes and the characteristics of His slaves. If there's no comparison between the water of paradise and the water of this dunya, then when Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Al-Malik, He's the king. And Allah tells us in several verses in the Quran is that there was a man who was a what? A king. And he had a dominion. Allah gives the mulk to whomever He what? Wills. Tabarak alladhi biyadihi mulk. Blessed is he who has the dominion in his hand. There is no comparison between the mulk of Allah and the mulk of what? A creature. No matter how powerful this king may be, how much land, how vast his empire may stretch. Everyone understand this principle here? Everyone understand this principle? So this is a very important point when it comes to the Aqeedah of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Everyone understand this is that we understand what the word means, we understand the basic concept, the specifics, the ins, the outs is something that our minds can never begin to imagine. Our minds can never begin to what? Imagine. Everyone understand this? وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Allah says, and Allah is the highest description. You can't begin to imagine about Allah. Your mind doesn't have the power to. Just like you have a car that's a Ford. It cannot go faster than the speed limit that's been placed on the model of that car. No matter how hard you press on the gas tank, no matter how hard you slam your foot into the gas, no matter who's behind you chasing you, you cannot go faster than the model and the make of that car. Because the one who made the car put a cap on the speed. And the one who made us, human beings, He has placed a cap on our what? Our minds and our imaginations. Everyone understand this? Everyone understand this? So these are a few reasons here why the different groups strayed and left the correct path. And why Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah remained what? Orthodox. When it comes to the held and when it comes to the other issues. Tayyib, what else do we benefit from this? Briefly, Ikhwan, before we stop for Salat al-Isha. That the Prophet will be there. So it's much more than just a drink. The honor of being with the Prophet. What else?
And everybody ain't gonna be able to drink.
Every Muslim is not invited to what? To drink. Or another interpretation is the people who will be kicked back and banished are those who are no longer Muslims. And they could have apostated and left the deen. Everyone understand this? Everybody turn this or not? And there are many other issues like this when it comes to seeing Allah. Will everyone see Allah or just the believers? Allahu Alam. They go different ways. The next thing we benefit about the Prophet ﷺ's plan is what? Something very obvious that nobody mentioned.
For him only?
It's for him only in these hadiths. No other Prophet was mentioned. No other Nabi was mentioned. Inna a'tainaka. We've given you. It's something else that no one else has mentioned, which is what? I will say. Quenches all thirst. Something else though more important than that. Al-Amin. Something very basic and important is that there's a connection between Al-Kawthar and the Hawd. Or one may say is that they are the, based off of what we read. And if they're not the same, then there's a definite what? Connection. You understand the point? If they aren't the same, then there's definitely a what? A connection. And that leads us to where is this pond? Is the pond in paradise? Or is the pond where? Or is it in? Said that already. Jannah. Like the Kawthar. The hadith says the Prophet was walking where? So what would you say based on what we read? It's in paradise. Everyone agree to this in Jannah? Everybody agree to this in paradise? Okay. Easy way of refuting this. It's going to get batted off the park now, alright?
No, not
He said it's too late. You agreed to the consensus. Right. Abdullah ibn Umar narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man shariba al-khamra fi dunya, lam yashrabha fil akhirah." He who drinks wine in this life won't what? Drink it in the hereafter. He who gets drunk in this dunya would never takes the wine of he who gets drunk in the dunya will not enjoy the wine of the what? Alright, type. Stay with me. Everybody stay with me now. Okay. What does that hadith mean? That you won't drink wine in paradise. What does that mean?
Whoever illegally drinks it here will not have the best similar to it.
Something else, something deeper than that.
Something safely here to get it.
What does the hadith mean? God, what does that mean? It means something specific. What's the meaning that he won't drink it in the hereafter? It'll be taken from him. Tayyib?
If he stays away from it, then in Jannah he'll drink
The opposite. Yes, but that's not what we
Goes
want.
to the hellfire.
That he will not enter paradise. Some ulama, they say that this means that he would not go to heaven. How can he not go to heaven? And he's not a kafir, he's still a Muslim. How is this? How do we understand this hadith now? Now there's a difference, we said Sheikh Anwar last night, about reading it, which is a good thing, understanding it, and having to practice. That's another level. Critically understanding the sunnah. What does this mean that he won't go to paradise? How's this? Kayfa? Who's smart enough and witty enough to break this down? Fadl.
Maybe he's not going to make it to the paradise because if he keeps drinking and dies in the state of drinking, then all his deeds will be ruined. Because what counts is what we do when we die.
Maybe if he continues to drink, he'll eventually leave Islam, or he won't be given the ability to make the proper answer in the grave, nothing, because he kept drinking. Perhaps, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's something deeper than that. Something very deeper than that. Fadl Jafar.
Because everyone in paradise will drink from the wine.
No, not necessarily. You're getting closer though. It's something more precise. You have to finely tune it a bit more. Fadl.
He used it all up here,
Fight.
so he has nothing left.
Alright, I'm throwing a banquet, a party at my mansion, right? You come in, as soon as you come in, you're my guest. I have people walking around with trays of the finest champagne. They offer you food, they offer you drinks. As soon as you come in, and they follow you around with drinks. Everyone is getting a drink. Everyone is taking 2, 3, 4 glasses of champagne. Except for you, Shaq. Can I get one? And they turn away from you. Can I get one? And they walk away from you. You can't get no champagne. But everyone else in the mansion is drinking, drinking, drinking. How do you feel? Shaq, how do you feel? Left out. And what else?
Maybe a bit of shame.
Like, how you going to invite me and not?
Yeah.
You trying to embarrass me and play me? So the question is there any negativity in paradise?
No.
Is there any jealousy in paradise? The one who has the lowest status thinks he has the what? So how can someone go to Jannah and the Lord tells us that there is a river of wine and not get in it? Everyone understand the problem now? Some of them, they say that. How can you go to paradise and not be given the what? How can you come to the banquet, be invited, and not be given the what? Except that you feel something what? So you're going to feel something against me, the host. I've wronged you. And you're also going to be jealous and envious against the other guests. And in paradise, there is no hasad. There's no jealousy in Jannah. There's no what? So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place now. The rock is, Allah has told us in paradise there is one. And He's also informed us that there's no what? وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ إِخْوَانًا عَلَى سُرُرٍ مُتَقَابِلِينَ. Allah says we will remove any ghil, any malice from their hearts. And they will be brothers sitting on thrones looking at each other. Enjoying each other's company in paradise. So we're stuck between what now? Khamr in Jannah. No jealousy in Jannah. The drunkard who's a Muslim shall not drink the wine in paradise. So the only logical explanation will be that the drunkard shall not enter paradise. You understand this? Because it's impossible for him to go there to see people drinking it and then feel what? Some type of way. Everyone understand this or not? Everybody, is everybody with me? Everybody with me so far? You with me? Let me clear? Now, stay with me now. So, if this is only one interpretation of the hadith. When I hear you explain this hadith in detail, that's only one interpretation. Others say other things. So, if the hold is in paradise, and the people, they see it, and they come to it, and they are getting ready to drink from it, and then what happens to them? Get back. And the Prophet would say, these are my what? My people. And Allah, it would say to him what? You don't know what? So, will you still say that the hold is in paradise? No. Because now the situation is just like the what? The situation of the Khamar. There's something in paradise, people see it, but they're prevented. That is going to immediately promote ill what? So this is one of the proofs that the hold is not in paradise. There is no prevention in Jannah. There's no you can't have none. No, there's none of that in paradise. Once you've made it, then you what? Understand this? The mizan, the sirat, the hold, the intercession, all of these things, you can be qualified or unqualified. You understand this? You don't have enough good deeds. You go to fire, you go to the hellfire. You wronged this person. You can't go to Jannah. You still owe someone this. None of that is after you've made it to where? You understand? Just like those who go to Jannah and they don't drink alcohol, some of them have said that it means that they will not go to paradise. Why can't they go to paradise? Because you're a takfiri, you're saying that they're kuffar. Why do you say they won't go to Jannah? Because you're stuck where? A rock and a what? The rock is the what? There's what? Two realities. The first reality is that there's what? Khamr. The second reality is that there's no. You're in Jannah, they're drinking and you're not. That can't work. That doesn't work like that. Like the banquet. Everyone check. Everyone has glasses. You can't get none. And not only do you not get none, but I say get back. Get away. Step away from the tray. He's going to immediately hate me, resent me, and he's also going to envy. And at the end of the day, he's going to be sad and shamed and embarrassed. These emotions, these negativities cannot and do not and shall not be in Jannah. So for the whole to be in Jannah, people to come to Jannah, to see it, and then push back, this is one proof of those ulama who say that it is not in Jannah. Understand the equation? 1 + 1 equals? I got this or not? So some scholars, they say that it's not what? It's not in Jannah. But it's in one or two places. It's either on this earth or Al-Muhim Abdul Mahshar, the land of resurrection. The what? The land of what? Resurrection. As Allah mentions in the Quran. Okay. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody got me? So this is, I'm trying to teach you something right now. I'm trying to teach you something, guys. From one thing, you learn 10,000 things. Is that the class is much bigger than one lecture. I'm trying to teach you the proper way of deducing and dissecting and understanding the hadiths. For all of them to be in harmony. For all of them to be in perfect what? Perfect harmony. Everybody understand this with me? You coming? Right. Before we stop, what else do we know about the hold from based on what we've read so far? So if it's not in Jannah, where's the kawthar? What's the kawthar?
So
That leads us to the fact that the kawthar is not the hold. They're two different things. Because the kawthar is clearly in paradise. So what's the connection between the two? The water. What about the water? The water of paradise comes down to the what? So that means that the hold is in existence as we speak. It's in what? Just think about that. The water in this pond descends from the heavens. Huh? Something that we can't see. Something which may not be mundane or tangible or scientifically proven, but we as Muslims, we do what? We believe in it. So what do you think the water is going to be like? You understand this? What do you think the water is going to what? It's going to be like. Everybody feeling this or not? Next point we get from it is what? Many things mentioned here. The first part of the subchapter, he says, Isbiru. He said, be patient until you meet me at the pond. What do we get from that? From the reasons behind getting and enjoying patience upon what? That hadith is pertaining to something specific, and that is what? An oppressive ruler. A tyrannical what? Ruler. A legitimate Islamic ruler. Someone who's an actual Muslim, and someone who's implementing and practicing actually Islam. But he's also what? He's a tyrant. A legitimate Islamic ruler. Everyone understand this? So from the reasons behind enjoying the Prophet's pond is being patient upon a what? An oppressive ruler. Everybody turn this on? What else is there?
The fact that he would precede us.
The Prophet's going to be there first. You come over my house and I serve you. I do what? Here, this is the finest drink. Bismillah, it's yours. Follow. I make the tea. I pour the tea for you. That's not the same as me having servants pour it for you. It's honor. I'm a millionaire and I'm doing what? Preparing you the food. You feel special now. Everybody clear on this or not? It's not the same. Everybody clear on this or not? Fight. Last but not least, there's a problem in these hadiths. And I'm going to focus on the trustworthy son of Abraham. Fight. What is the problem in these hadiths, Alameen? It's a big problem.
Different opinion.
Nah, it's something deeper than that, Sheikh. A big mushkila in this hadith. See if you can get it. Sisters, they can send over the answer if they know the answer.
I know you got it. So.
That's not true. I'm reading from a book. My battery died. My knowledge is gone. Think about it. What's the problem? It's a big problem in these hadiths. Big problem. Anybody got it? Anybody online? Fadal, akhi.
Is it Daif?
No, we read from Bukhari. You got to throw a punch. That's right. It may land. That's right. That's right. That's right. Fadal.
Excuse me, you mentioned the Prophet is going to be there on the Jannah. And he's going to, everybody is going to the Kawthar. So the Kawthar is there on the Jannah.
We didn't say that. We never said that. We never said that. One narration says, بينما أنا أسير في الجنة فإذا أنا بنهر ذاك الكوثر. The other hadiths mention nothing about what? Jannah or Kawthar. هذا شيء, and that's something else. Anybody got the problem in these hadiths? Alameen does not say in the hadith that I would say, the Prophet says, I would say these are my what? Companions. And the law would say what? You don't know what they?
Yeah.
So what if someone took these hadiths and says this is a proof that the companions apostated after the Prophet's death?
That's what Shia said.
Problem or not?
Big problem.
Hadith is clearly in Bukhari. He says these are my what? Companions. I know them. I recognize them. And it will be said to me that you don't what? You know what I'm saying this? So if you start arguing with people and debating with people and refuting people, if a Shiite comes with Sahih Bukhari and says your book says that the companions did what? And there are other hadiths that mention even a vivid description. They were turning back from the time you left them. This is a proof that the companions, waliyadu billah, were no longer Muslim. And Allah did not know that they would die upon kufr, waliyadu billah. So the point is I'm trying to get to, we know this is not correct. I'm trying to make a point, is that fighting is dangerous. And boards don't punch back. Everybody's tough with a steel target. But the moment you encounter someone who's just not a pushover, someone who's learned, someone who has doubts, someone who has some skills, even though he's upon falsehood, you may find yourself in a very sticky situation. And that is why you should not refute people and put yourself out there for dawah and this and that unless you're properly, thoroughly trained in the skills of what? Combat. Not dawah. Or what? Combat. Everyone understand this? You gotta know what you're doing. Everyone understand this? There are certain people who are upon misguidance and they're just following. They're followers. Just like there are people who are upon guidance and they're also what? They're just followers, and that's okay. Everyone doesn't have to be a scholar. Everyone doesn't have to be sharp and skilled. And there are other people upon misguidance, and they have some type of what? And that's why the Prophet, he told Mu'adh, he says, you're going to the people of Yemen, and they are people of the Kitab. In other words, he told them to prepare yourself. They're not the mushrikun of Mecca. They're not the mushriks of Mecca who just follow their forefathers. These are people who read, who write, and come from a long lineage of prophets and messengers. They have books. In other words, they have knowledge. So you go to them, you have to be what? Sharp. Everyone understand this? So you can't just give dawah. That's one point. The next point is arguing. The third point is refuting if you're not skilled, because you may come across someone and meet your match. And you may get a doubtful issue and you may not have the answer. And that doubt may enter your heart and it may take a long time if it even leaves your heart. So it's a small entrance, what? It's a wide entrance, a small exit, like a funnel. It's easy to go in.